Well, we are back. We thank you for your patience. It is Thursday, February 13th, 2025. Welcome to another edition of Otaku Thursday. We're glad to be back. We do apologize to the situation. We'll go through it with a complete video, but just to give you a little bit of the gist, we had a massive failure across the board on our hard drives during a sequential transfer of information from the going to the cloud and going to backups. And I don't know what happened. Really, it was some sort of surge or something that came and went and just literally it powed us. And the thing is, we have surge protectors. Somehow it bypassed it. We've changed a lot of the wiring in here. Also, we had to get a new external drive. I had a G drive, a great G drive, terabyte, a couple terabytes, and it lasted us a couple of years. And literally, we tried to save it, and it just wouldn't save. We were able to pull at least a good chunk of it. We did lose a good chunk of information. We were able to retrieve some of it. Some of it was in the cloud. Some of it was on backups that did survive. So now we've transferred everything, and we're just now starting to run back everything together again. And hopefully by next week we should be back in full run. But maybe we'll give it one more week, so just to ease in the new stuff that we've added to our setup. But once again, we'll talk about that later. On another video during Madman with the Show. But thank you for tuning in, clicking on this video. Don't forget to share this video, hit that like, comment, and see that little subscribe button? Yeah, knock it right now. Hit it. It's very important that you do that. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Rumble, we really do appreciate it. It does move us up in the algorithm. It helps us a lot. So, we're going to get into not too much today, but we try to ease ourselves into there because we're trying to ease our way back to a full schedule again. But we're going to get into some things in here. First thing out, catching up with anime now. Haven't caught the ReZero yet. I believe we're also got Damachi also starting up again. But the big two that was, I guess you could say for yourself, the two animes that to me standed out big this past weekend was Dragon Ball Damia. That whole fight scene, it was just amazing. It was well animated, well played to the situation, and not to give, if you haven't seen it yet, just cover your ears, not to give it away. Goku turning into Super Saiyan 3, at child level, which is very interesting to see how that goes, because I know the next episode's called Awakening. So that basically is excellent. The other big thing, which was Soul Leveling Season 2, Jinwoo versus Carlagan. I think that's how you pronounce it on there. I mean, holy shit, that was an episode. The thing is, when you're looking at anime the last couple of years, you had your good, your bad, and then the stuff that just stands out. And the thing about it is that you have more and more standing out. I mean, I can't wait to see what Demon Slayer is going to look like on the big screen. On the last 3 movies, which will close out the series on there, and a couple of other things that are coming soon as well. The next couple of seasons of certain anime, One Piece, Mushoku Tensei, and many others that are greenlighted, both current and stuff that we're adding brand new to the lineup. I mean, this is amazing what is going on. And this is what shows you. This is what Hollywood needs to understand. This is good storytelling, good production. This is what it is. This is why this industry has been on constant attack. And I'm wondering, because the news cycle has been going, uh, with Elon Musk and Doge, I would not be surprised because they started going after some of the media. They finding out that this U.S. aid was funding certain media groups, and we know that they were funding toward GamerGate. That certain outlets were writing articles about it. They're throwing out propaganda to that situation. Think about this for a second. We had a lot of articles come out about anime being cheese pizza and all this. That uh, Vice News mini documentary, and many other things that have been going on. Could that have been funded by USAID? It's a possibility. Maybe that'll get uncovered further down the line. But we also have some good news. We got some really good news besides the Soul Leveling and Damia. If you're not familiar with Kingdom, we've already gone through season 5 of Kingdom, which was back a year ago in 2024, last 13 episodes. Probably going to be a season 6 on this because of the popularity of it. Probably going to start getting into this because I've heard of it before. This manga was out in 2006. But the only problem is with this manga, there was no English translation until today. If it hasn't come out yet, but it will be coming out, Viz Media has decided that they're basically going to take the challenge to translate 74 volumes, and this is 74 volumes as of December 18, 2024, of Kingdom. This is big. This is really, really big. There's a lot of mangas and anime that haven't gotten English translations. You can go down a whole list of mangas that, there are a lot of fans out there that, says we should have an English translation. And, there are anime that do deserve a English dub as well, a proper English dub. We already recently, Dirty Pair is hopefully soon is going to be released with an entire English dub box set coming out, both Japanese and English dub, which was crowdfunded. And basically, they got, because I'm trying to remember, is it the OVA that had the original English dub or the vice versa? But the original voice actors that did the partial English dub for Dirty Pair has returned to do the remastering of this, and supposedly it's a good remaster. Both the video and also the audio itself. The audio is being done by a mastering house out here in New York, out in Long Island, LIC, near Long Island, out at the end of Queens. But also you have stuff out there like, a lot of the mecha series out there that don't have English dubs from the 60s, the 70s, and 80s. You have stuff like Galaxy Express 39 and some of the Harlock spin-off series that basically came from it that still they don't have an English dub. Fantastic series it is. These I know Galaxy Express, the closing movie itself, Adieu Galaxy Express 39, does come in an English dub, which was done. It was done pretty good on there, and it was a pretty good ending to this story. But overall, the series itself, which you can see, I believe Tubi TV has it. I think one of the retro channels and a couple of the ones. I think Roku also has it too. You can see it on there in subtitle format. It is a really good story. And, the Ikusan, another series that basically that needs an English dub itself, and many others. and vice versa on stuff. I mean, we finally, after so many years, we got the Japanese dub of Speed Racer, Makagogo, which you could see now on here on YouTube still. I believe Shout Studios is still doing the live streams of those. And if you go over to Tubi TV, they have both versions of it. The labeling is like, one is listed as Speed Racer, the other one's listed as Makagogo. And the transfers are pretty good on those. Because it's good to see, Speed Racer finally uncut, and in Japanese translation, you can see what American broadcasters changed from on that. It's similar to Gotcha Man and Battle of the Planets. The difference is between the two. Yu-Gi-Oh! Obviously, anything that was on WB Kids, Sailor Moon. You can go down the list of a lot of anime that just got a censorship thing. That, like guns were removed. And Spielberg did that with E.T. There's that joke on South Park that they replaced the guns with walkie-talkies. It didn't look good. It did not look good in the actual E.T. movie, and I guess in the latter, one of the later releases, they switched it back to that. I mean, listen, yeah, guns are dangerous, but it depends on who's handling the gun. Do they have responsibility to that nature? And that's what should be taught. But also, it's part of the story. If you have guys like in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Episode, they're just pointing at you and saying, we're going to get you, put them up, give us all your money, it's like, oh, come on. Really, pointing? Pointing? Is that what you want to do on there? Now, I understand, you want to protect kids from on that, and it's up to the adults to sit with children to, teach them on this. I mean, I grew up, with some of this anime in early days of it. And also, remember, I grew up with the time period, Elmer Fudd still had a shotgun. And they were dropping anvils from the top of mountaintops and stuff like that. I mean, people need a new hobby, out there, especially those in government. There are things that are stories out there. They're just stories, especially anything that's animated, cartoonish, anime. They're just stories themselves. And if someone has a problem in life, a depression, or the compliment, that they want to commit suicide, or they're confused on it's their own self. It's, you have to look for within you. You can't blame the media out there. You can't blame the music. You can't blame the cartoons and stuff like that. You look at someone's wall and they got, Bugs Bunny on the wall, and they commit suicide. Oh, it's because of Bugs Bunny. And you say, well, that's kind of ridiculous. Well, actually, it did happen, but not with Bugs Bunny, but with Death Note. Because the guy jumped out with a nice suit on, and they said, oh, it's got to be because the character wears a suit in Death Note. No, that's not what happened. And it's the same. And the other thing is, music. Same thing. People say, well, that sounds evil. It's like, do you understand what they're saying? Do you understand what the music's saying, the lyrics? No, you're taking an interpretation of what you think you've seen, you heard, and just expand it outward. Same thing what Vice News did with the anime convention, trying to mash in cheese pizza with lolicon, with an anime convention, and went out of their way, and the people that they interviewed proved and told them, it says, no, it has nothing to do with this. It has nothing to do with the drawings or anything like that. I was already sick before this, and this is what they said. But they tried to push that narrative that basically, Japan is evil, and the stuff that comes out of it is evil. But, Japan has a rich history. Even though, yeah, there was some violence to it in situations, but there's a lot of history to it as well. Take a moment and go look at their history, and you'll find it. That's why a lot of people like the new Shogun series. The remake of Shogun, because the novel itself was excellent. It was an excellent novel. The original series was okay. Richard Chamberlain, and that was an okay series. The acting was fantastic. The newer series, and you saw it won Golden Globes on that, was also very well done. Surprisingly, they kind of, they didn't stick 100% to the book, neither did the original one, but they landed pretty well with the characterization and all that, because some of it is based on, factual events that happen, unlike what they've done with the Assassin's Creed, which they tried to make it look like it's history, but the particular character just has a very small footnote in history, and it's next to nothing, honestly. Because it was a different time period, and it's not as easy as you think it is getting around the world and how people handled people from other cultures. It was a different time period. And that's the thing, when you look at anime and the anime culture and the style lines, how it's done, you have to take it to that perspective from the culture itself. The sense of humor on things, and if you saw that little clip of video that we talked about, when we talked about hentai and ecchi and stuff like that, that some of it, you have, some comedic aspects. I mean, right now you got the series with the 100 girlfriends who really, 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 really love you. That series, which I'm in the second season already, and it's excellent. It's really good. People are yelling out at it, saying, "Oh my God, it's so! Oh, he's all with all these women and he's having sex." He's like, "No, he's not. He hasn't had any sex at all. He's avoided it all." I mean, kissing is a freaking chore in itself. It's a hysterical, and that's the funny part about it, is the things that they go through in the relationship. And people say, "Well, why does he got to have 100 girlfriends? Can't he just have one?" Well, the comedic part of that series is the God of Love has accidentally stamped him with this. He can't change the fate that he has put this young man onto. That literally he's been rejected 100 times, and now, because the God of Love was watching some soap or something and didn't even notice what he was doing, he put not one, but he put 100. So now he has to take in 100 girls, women. He already has an older woman with him, which I can't believe on that one. Because what is it? One of his first girlfriends, the mother didn't want to have her daughter have anything to do with him. And then when she met him, snap, that little spark that basically happens every time he meets his next soulmate. And this is what happens to this series. This is part of the comedic aspects of some of these shows. They put it to the point that, oh, these guys are having sex all the time, and this is, because they have all these big-breasted women. Look at it from the perspective. The guy ain't looking to get laid every 10 seconds. Yes, he wants to be with a girl and stuff like that. But, he runs into a lot of problems, number one. Number two, he just literally can't just get to that point that he's afraid himself. And that kind of puts it to the perspective of relationships itself. Relationships can be funny to the point. Now, you may ask yourself, oh yeah, what about the other series as interspecies reviewers, or basically Redo the Healer and all that? Well, interspecies reviewers is also a comedy as well, and that basically can't go any further on that. But Redo the Healer, and I've talked about this before, Redo the Healer, which was popular with women on there, is a story about a guy getting revenge, that he was sexually assaulted, tortured, basically, for his powers and stuff like that. And then he gets to the point where he's able to defeat the big villain at the end, which that's where we begin to the end of the story, and travels back in time. So it's redo. He's redoing everything that happened to him, but this time around, He's not letting the things that happen to him happen, and gets revenge on those who inflicted this pain onto him. And you got to ask that question. Live long enough to die a hero, or live long enough to become the villain. Has he become the villain at this point? We have to wait for season 2 if it ever happens. But remember, Hollywood itself here on the West has done similar stories to this. It's always been in Hollywood, especially in the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s, and some of the stuff today. On occasion you might get a horror film to this nature. I Spit on Your Grave. How many times that has been? Miss 45. That's another one that basically, it's up there. Savage Streets. That's another one that, to that nature of revenge. How many other, from the male point of view, revenge movies, and how bad it gets, and bloody and gory to the situation. But of course, this is what you go through. The complaints that people have with this. Now we could jump into hentais and hentai's porn and this and that, but believe it or not, a lot of them have stories. A lot of them have good stories. Some of them, it is sexual. Other ones are just pretty hentai porn to that point, which there's nothing wrong of having that. Never heard. And recently I've seen a lot of people say they want to remove the porn off of Twitter or X. I was one of the ones that said, and I sat back and thought about it for some time. And I said to myself, most of the people that are on X are adults. And the thing is, these systems work on an algorithm, especially X, which has switched back to I guess they switched to old, or they created a new one. If you're getting nudes, porn on your feed, look at what you're looking at. And the thing about it is, you can mute and block these things. But understand that what are you watching? I mean, what are you, subscribing to, or basically looking at, that is feeding this information to you? You got to remember that situation. If you're looking for it just to comment against it, yeah, your feed is going to have a lot of that popped in there. That's going to happen. And it's the same thing, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Rumble, this is what's going to happen. That's what the system is built to do, to give you recommendations on what you are watching, reading, listening to. This is a constant basis, and this is what people don't understand to that nature. They think that just basically you turn on your computer, and as soon as you turn it on, you're being inundated with pornography or with nudity or anything to that nature. It all goes by what you type in every day. They say, well, the kids are getting it. Well, what are the kids typing in there? Parents need to sit with their kids and see what they're doing on there. And remember, and the thing about it is, oh no, we can't have TikTok go away. A lot of it's on TikTok. There are new sites that are building up now that is taking the adult stuff from TikTok, because of the whole situation with the ban and all that, and moving it to another site that they're able to do it. Similar to what YouTube used to allow us to transfer our stuff to Odyssey and BitChute and Rumble. Not anymore now. They've blocked that, which is, very bad for YouTube. And they shouldn't do that. It's the reason why if you're here from Odyssey or BitChute, we're way behind on the shows there, because the time that we've been doing lately, and right now it's just me at the moment and a tech every once in a while. We don't have the crew to just sit there all day and just upload. We don't have time, because we're doing a lot of research on a lot of our stories that's going on. We're talking to people on the phone. We're talking to those online, and that takes up a whole day. That situation. And then of course the days like this, like today, when we did this on a Monday, when we got our systems back online to record this particular podcast and video for you, so we'd be able to get this out on Thursday. But let's move on a little bit. to what is going on. Crunchyroll. A lot going on with Crunchyroll lately. And recently, there's been a situation where someone was fired for reporting workplace misconduct. This is someone, and like the video I'm about to show you, we're going to take this for a grain of salt. There's always, how can we put this? It's like a three-edged sword. There is one person's opinion, the second person's opinion, and the truth. It's always a three-edged sword. Three things to that nature. And that's how we got to pull this onto there. But the thing about it is, with Sony and Crunchyroll's track record, we know that basically, it hasn't been good for Crunchyroll. I mean, we're seeing pirated sites do better than Crunchyroll. And remember, Crunchyroll used to be a pirated site itself at one point, and it became legit. And the thing is, pirated sites are doing better and better every day because a lot of stuff is being either edited, mistranslated, or you can't get it on this side. I mean, it's hard to get interspecies reviewers on this side unless you get it on DVD. Very hard to do it. No problem getting overseas. VPN, you might be able to see it to that point. And there are many other anime shows and movies that have been blocked. I mean, Macross was blocked for years for rights issue. Now it's on Hulu and Disney Plus overseas and Hulu in US of A. And Dynamite 7 has been edited. Yeah. Why? It's a small segment, they I didn't like it. I said, guarantee I can go on Hulu and there's a ton of stuff on there that will be objectable to the situation. And this is what I've said online because, again, what's going on that people want to ban porn on X is if you ban one thing, then you got to ban it all. That's censorship. It is censorship to the extreme. Because what do you consider objectionable or obscene to that next point? People went to jail in the 70s. George Carlin, Lenny Bruce, Hal Reams. There were theater owners that were arrested, production companies that were raided. There was a time and place, that this was happening. And they want to set it again. If you haven't seen the report that we put out on Man with the Show, is that there was an Oklahoma senator who wants to put out a law on there bringing back those laws again. Yeah. But, we're going to get into this a little bit, and I'm going to give this over to a YouTuber named Chibi Reviews. If you haven't seen it, go subscribe to him. Give him some love, because he's had a lot of problems. He's been threatened online. They shut down his X account for a while, but it's to the point where somebody was false flagging him to that nature. He has a good show. He discusses manga. He discusses anime to the extreme, a lot more than me. And that's always a good sign of a good show. The only reason we're going with this is because he gives a great explanation. And let his words say, tell you. Because, if I say it, you're going to say, but let someone else say the same thing that I want to say on this show.
An ex-Crunchyroll employee reports getting fired for requesting an ADA accommodation to tend to his mother with terminal cancer. Are we even surprised? Let me go through the list, okay? This is the same company that has removed and disabled comments because of just a few bad eggs on one episode. They have done localizations that are absolutely horrendous, and a lot of people have talked about them extensively, not just myself. They have effectively stolen fan mail from a very prominent, employee at Crunchyroll. We have had them remove voice actors because they basically refuse to do a contract with them. The too long to not read is right here, as you can see. they are not necessarily a good company. We have seen time and time again that Crunchyroll legitimately mistreats their employees, they mistreat voice actors, they mistreat translators, they mistreat their very consumer. They are a company that legitimately is just toxic. Now, they don't always do everything bad. They sometimes get things right, but there is just a continuous mountain that builds higher and higher as this company continues to exist. And the overall lack of transparency, the lack of statements about some of these things, legitimately makes them look even more evil than they already are. Now, at the end of the day, there is something that does need to be stated before I go any further. This statement from this ex-employee could be two things. It could be entirely accurate, it can be completely true, and we can take this all at face value, and that's exactly what it is. However, there is another side, and I will give Crunchyroll a silver lining here, something to really grab onto to use for themselves, even though I really shouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt, because we have seen how their management is within the company. There is a possibility that this employee that, made this statement talking about their mother having terminal cancer, it could be dramatized. I'm not saying they lied, I'm not saying what they're saying here is lies or anything like that, but obviously there is two sides to a story. There always is, okay? And obviously at this point, since this is relatively new news, this was just posted literally 2 days ago, as you can see here. This is real. This is a real post. This is a real person that's worked on the company on an official site like this. It is legit. It's a legitimate post. So at the end of the day, this could be a disgruntled employee, just very upset, and then made the statement to really damage Crunchyroll, which would be pretty easy because obviously there's a lot of people that do not like how the company operates in the anime and manga community, and people even outside of that. And a lot of people in Japan, from my understanding, big official companies, don't even like Crunchyroll. What I'm trying to say is that at the end of the day, one side of the story, obviously, this can be completely true and completely accurate, and then there's other side of Crunchyroll's side where maybe this is just dramatized. However, I still think, regardless, I think there is some truth to this statement. And the reason why I say that is because, like I said, there has been enough stacking of absolute doo-doo on a mountain for a long time. This is kind of relevant. I'll talk about this in a second. But there's been a lot of, stacking of just absolute trash for a very long time. For years upon years, we have seen how this company operates. We have seen what they have done to their employees. If it was, for instance, this was the first time we've seen something like this, a bad thing from Crunchyroll in the last 3, maybe 4 years, hell, even 2 years ago, I would kind of be like, okay, it happens. I mean, it's not a good thing. It's not, but, bad things are going to happen when you have hundreds of employees at a company. That's the truth, okay? It doesn't mean the entire company is rotten. It doesn't. But when you have continuous back-to-back issues within the company with a lot of problems with management and just continuous things that shove away customers and really make them not even want to pay you anymore, I think there is a problem with leadership. The people on the top of Crunchyroll are not really good with managing the company and dealing with these eternal issues that obviously need to be addressed. So, before I go any further, and I, just talk on...
Before we get into a little bit of this post, and, here's a guy, and we're talking about the person that, was it Sean Hoffman, who's going through, some family situations. His mom's got diagnosed with cancer. He's been diagnosed with anxiety and major depressive disorder, and he wanted to take some time off to that situation. But what was he met with? He was met with ridicule and insults and stuff like that. And, take it for what it is and how you want to do it. Because Crunchyroll has had a bad, track record to this situation. And like Chipley said, you had someone basically didn't want to do the contract with SAG-AFTRA to that situation. He got fired. You got someone whose mail was being stolen by them. You had comment lines that were just removed because they didn't like what the comment that somebody said on it. This wasn't something that someone was cursing or anything of that nature. They were trying to stifle, to censor criticism of their product, and this is wrong. This is wrong to that nature. These are things that needs to be investigated. As far as the website goes itself. If you're taking away the comment lines and stuff like that, where people can't express their, how they feel about the content that's on the program, then, why are you around? I mean, this is the Sony playbook to the fact. You go to gaming. PSN network was down for most of the weekend, and we still don't have at the time of this recording on Monday, well after the Super Bowl, basically you don't have an answer to why they were shut down. And this is Sony, and this is why you need the trade commissions, the FTC, because basically Crunchyroll should not have been bought. Kadokawa should have not been put into, a percentage of it should not have been put in with Sony into that situation, no matter how you feel to that, because you've created a monopoly. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a monopoly to this nature of Sony, handling gaming, handling anime to their point. You got people like High Dive and Viz. You don't have that many companies out there. This is the reason for the continued explosion of piracy on the high seas over the internet. I think, what was it? The last chase was over 400 million URL sites are out there that they were trying to shut down. I mean, they shut down about a small handful, but there's over 400 million URLs. Think about that for a minute. Think about to that situation. See, the thing is that also the Japan studios need to start, and you have Toho, who's already, they're working with J Kids here in the U.S. You need more of that to put together and to create their own site. I mean, it's not that hard to do it. You already have them overseas. You just got to put some, the servers here on this end of the world. Because basically, people will come to you if you're showing a product that is not misdubbed in the English dub or Spanish dub or something like that. If the subtitling is proper, it's a feature. Remember, VLC. If you're familiar with that media app, VLC, they're translating. They're doing auto translation now on subtitling. That could put a lot of people out of business when it comes to subtitling. Yeah, it won't be perfect, but it'll be much better. And it's always been, when it comes to piracy, the subtitles are much better on a pirate. And I'm not condoning it or anything to that nature. Just understand that. But as long as I've been around and watching anime, most of it is from pirated or bootlegs. In the early days, that's what that was the only place we could have. We didn't have the internet until well into the late 80s, into the 90s. And that by then, there was still not, these sites were still very small. Crunchyroll was, a pirated site at that time. And people were they were using torrents and all these other sites to download anime. And that was stuff that you couldn't get out of Chinatown, like here in New York. I mean, we had places in Chinatown, when, what was it, Ghost in the Shell standalone complex was out, people were buying them left and right. And this was stuff that was like freaking just pulled off television. And they did the subtitles for it and stuff like that and sold it for like, what was it, 2-3 episodes for $25 on a VHS, and then when it switched over to DVD. But let's continue with this story on, and Chibli to read this little post onto there.
I do want to read this post that Sean here has posted and, talked about his issues with Crunchyroll and what he's accusing them of. Now, once again, as I already said, this is Sean's side of the story, so until Crunchyroll makes an official statement, we just gotta take him at face value. But once again, there's always two sides to this. There could be more information that comes out, but like I said, I can give Crunchyroll the benefit of the doubt, but also this man because of just the overwhelming evidence that we have just continuously seen over the years. How Crunchyroll treated me after my hardest year. I never imagined I'd be writing this post. I gave my all to Crunchyroll, working nights and weekends, driven by passion for the fans and the platform, even while facing one of the most devastating challenges of my life, my mother's terminal cancer. I remained dedicated to my work. When the stress, depression, and anxiety became overwhelming, I was diagnosed with anxiety and major depressive disorder and requested an ADA accommodation, a reasonable step that could have been met with understanding and support. Now, for clarity on this situation, ADA, because there's a lot of people that's getting this statement confused, a lot of people are confusing ADA and FMLA. And to kind of explain, he wasn't asking for accommodation because of his mother's terminal cancer. He was asking for, accommodation to be able to have, relief for now, like, take away from the company, like step away, maybe unpaid leave or whatever, for a little bit because of his anxiety and his depression, etc. Makes a lot of sense if he's dealing with his mother having terminal cancer. So he was basically asking something for himself, not just to take care of his mother, but just for himself. If he wanted to take leave just to take care of his mother with terminal cancer, he would have had to done a FMLA. That's what he would have had to do. Now, I'm not completely up to date with all the laws here and the, intricacies of it. I'm not going to act like I do, but I do know that if you are wanting to take leave because of a family member that's sick or disabled or whatever, you got to use FMLA. But obviously he did ADA, that's what this story is saying, and that's even what he said in his official statement, which means it's addressing his personal disabilities, his issues and problems, his psychological problems and everything that he's facing. That's why he did it, basically. But anyways, instead, I experienced hostility. A manager I didn't even report to cursed me out and made an extremely obscene gesture during a workplace conversation. Now, obviously, there's no clarification of this. We don't know exactly what the gesture was, if it was a rude comment, a slur, a gesture of, like, maybe their hands or something. Who really knows? It could be a flip-off. We don't know. But obviously, they're saying there was a very obscene and, obscene gesture that was given to them. I documented the incident and reported it to HR. Now, when he said documented, I don't know if necessarily he means like he just reported it and that means it was documentation, or if it was recorded or not. There is really no clarification of this statement here. But instead of taking corrective action, I noticed a shift in how I was treated. Subtle at first, then more overt. AKA, he reported to HR, and all of a sudden everything just started going sideways for him. I raised concerns about workplace treatment, professionalism, and respect. Shortly after, Crunchyroll made the decision to terminate my employment, citing a policy violation.
Yeah, this was a person that was having depression issues, they were having mental issues, that he wanted to take time off to handle it, even if it was not paid. He wanted, he had to take care of his mom, which, that, like Chibley said, could have been done under the family leave situation. But mostly what he was doing was the ADA, which basically he was trying to take care of himself. We hear these stories, like in Japan, you hear people that they self-delete themselves because of the job, because of what's going on at work and at home as well. And it happens on this end of, you hear these tragic stories, which basically, you have actors, actresses, producers, directors, they've gone through many situations, even people in the regular workforce, in the blue collar workers and stuff like that, union workers, that you have a point that you're at a breaking point. You might be drinking too much. You might be taking drugs. You might have an issue at home where a family member might be ill and the job is stressing you out. The home thing is stressing you out. You need to walk away for just a little bit to find your level, to grab yourself, get yourself back, and get back on the saddle and get back to work, and take care of the situations that are going on. But yet, Sean Hoffman, you have to the point where basically, ridiculed, insulted to this point. And the thing is, we haven't heard from Crunchyroll as of yet to this situation. What are they waiting for to that point? You had somebody that basically in a management end that just, they acted not right. And I would not be surprised if they were one of the leftovers from Funimations, because we've heard this situation before, that you have members of the old Funimation company that they've been put into Crunchyroll, and they're just really horrendous. You hear the stories, like basically you've always they a lot of the Funimation workers consider anime kids cartoons. And this is why some of the issues that they had at Funimations, was for that nature. They said, well, it's a kid cartoon. We can't have the things they have. We can't have big boobs. We can't have big butts. We can't have girls running around in bikinis. And, it's sexual poses and stuff like that. And fan service. We can't have that. We can't have the violence in situations. We have to interject our own American way of situations that we have here and all that. And the other thing is that they said, well, here in the West, they don't understand Japanese anime. Again, I've been watching it a long time. I have a pretty good grasp of what's going on. And so is a lot of other fans. But yeah, this is what's going on to this situation. And this is why, Crunchyroll has been falling down. Netflix has been doing a lot better than Crunchyroll itself when it comes to anime. I mean, they've got a good lineup now. I mean, they're even gone better than Hulu. I said in the stories that it is Netflix taking over the anime industry in the West because we're at that level. I mean, you got I haven't got the date on me in front of me, and that's the other thing we had to talk about. Free Ren is coming to Netflix. Yeah, Free Ren, one of the best animes from 2024. Really, really well done. A great story in itself. And, and this is the kind of story that basically, they said, well, it's CP and stuff like that. No, it's not. None of it is. Because you haven't watched it. It's a good story about an elf who basically was part of the group of heroes. Most of them have died, and she lives on because basically elves have long lifespans. And basically she's going back through the towns that she did when she was younger, and she's seeing, how people feel about the heroes and her and all that. And now she has two new persons that they're traveling together with, and going through some of the similar battles of back then. And it's really well done. It's a good story. It's a really, really good story. I can't wait for the next season on that. But that shows you that these companies, they'd rather work more with Netflix, which Netflix ain't the greatest company in the world, but they've been around longer than Crunchyroll. Well, technically, Crunchyroll itself, after they became legitimate, and as far as the way the setup, the way their servers run, I mean, you have live stuff. You got wrestling on there live now. You have some sports. They've had boxing, which was, they had their issues, but I think they fixed that up now. Because you got to remember, it's the servers. It's taking to decode the video footage, going from one place to the next, and then it being decoded on whatever you're watching it on. So it takes a lot to get to have something come to your screen on there. But nevertheless, where are we going to get with this with Crunchyroll? How much longer will they be around? I mean, even if they close up shop and stuff like that, Sony will probably rebuild something brand new to replace it. But see, the problem is, whatever they replace it with, unless they fire everybody that is responsible for all the problems and issues in there, it's just going to be the same still Funimations and Crunchyroll. It's still going to be that way. And this is how it's going to continue. So what I want you to continue is to continue to comment on the bottom of the screen here. We would really like to hear from you. One other thing going forward in our Rumble comment lines, those of you who are looking for our to offer like certain deals and stuff like that, information and all that, we don't do that on the comments line. our comments line are there for our viewers to comment on what they think of the show, to give their opinion, stuff like that. We do have a business email. It's listed below there in our title line, and you'll be able to get there. It's 364studios@gmail.com. You can go over there if you're looking to sponsor the show, one of our videos, or sponsor the entire channel. Discussions on anything business-like. We don't do it on a comment line. So please don't leave comments the way that it's been going on there. But like I said, continue to comment. For those of you who want to leave their opinions on there, be sure to hit that like, share this video, and hopefully today's the day of earn your subscription. So until next week, this time next week, as we're getting to the end, we're already almost at the end of February. Oh my God, we're almost at the end on there. This week is Valentine's Day. Be sure to check out. We do have some t-shirts available. Valentine waifu t-shirts and stuff like that. Really nice. Our shop.cuticast.com. You'll be able to get an additional, I think, 10% off. It's still going on. Promo code love for sale. Yeah. You can get one there. You can get one for your significant other on there. So we make it both in men's and women's tees on there. We do have mugs also available with the same graphics. So be sure to check that out when you get a moment. Once again, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and be sure, take in some anime, take in some manga, treat it like a fine wine. Smell it, taste it, enjoy it. Until next time, thank you for tuning in, and have a good one. Bye-bye now.
Thanks for watching, commenting, and sharing this video. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe, as this helps the reach of this channel. Finally, as a content viewer, you have the ability to help support this channel, as new internet laws around the world will diminish our reach and affect our sponsors. If you choose to help, there are two ways, listed in the description below. The first link will lead you to a pay site where you can make a monetary donation. The second will lead you to our gear shop, where you can buy shirts, mugs, and other gear. Discounts will be listed on the site. Once again, thank you for watching and your support.
Fuck all what you think, bitch.